Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. It's Saturday, and I don't know about anybody else, but in Tennessee, we've gone from 97 degrees to 60 this morning. So we had a cold front come through, and I'll be the first to admit that it was great drinking coffee and not sweating in the morning. So I usually like to walk outside and sit on the patio. And I was this morning, I didn't, I had to put on a jacket, a little bit of a long sleeve because it was a 30-degree change. But good morning to everybody across the country, as well as Canada and multiple other countries we have. As we already know, James Zheng, and I don't know if I pronounced his name right. I've pronounced it so many different ways. I know he's used to that with his, much as he works with people, I know he's used to being his name not being corrected. But you know what? We'll call him as the #1 power ranker in the world today. So proud of that. I know he is. And if those that don't know how the power ranking works, don't think that you can't move up in this thing in a hurry, because the way the power ranking works has got to do with your growth. So James has got massive growth in his business. And it's really interesting because just a few short years ago, we talked about this in Ohio. Jane was telling me how he was struggling in the business and asking for tips. So here it is, just a few years later, he is now ranked #1. And we could go into a lot of things about what I think that caused that. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to let James take that mic and talk about that. But I'm so appreciative. We've had him here just a few weeks ago. And so I wasn't really planning to get him back too quick because, it's difficult to get up and get on here. And I've seen some others on that, like, it's hard to get up and be a guest when you're already tired and it's Saturday morning. But you know what? It just shows the servant leadership of so many people in this company. It's amazing how I have people just no problem. I can get on for you. And James is one of those. And when he made #1 power ranker, I asked Kristen, she had a good idea for this week. And she said, "Do you think James might would come back?" And I'm like, "It ain't gonna hurt to ask." And sure enough, within seconds, he'd already agreed to be on. So James, thank you so much for being on this morning. But I think sometimes we want to really start this morning by talking about, I want people to know who he is, James. Without we talk about your success, let's talk about how you began in this industry. I saw you do a challenge, and I really almost text you back yesterday what to talk about, because guys, when I joined this industry, most of you know I was in big business. And when people tried to recruit me into a network marketing business, I was this way. I was like, no, I'm not doing with them things. That's a Southern term. Thing is actually a word in the South. I'm not interested. I didn't have, and you know what I did know? It's what I didn't know. What I didn't know was what I didn't know. And when I began to research, after looking, I began to realize this was an incredibly large industry that most people had the wrong information about. And so it was so important that we realize how that changed. But James, I love what your challenge is about debating it. That doesn't mean it's right or wrong. Help me with the mutes, guys. We got a lot of folks not muted. Please keep your lines muted. And I want you to really talk to people about that mindset and how it changed before we go into what you're doing now. So thanks again for being on this morning. If somebody can do the highlight for me, I don't, the speaker highlight, hit that for me, I will. Maybe I can do that.
Well, thank you for the honor. Good morning.
Glad to have you. So good morning.
What's up, Partner Co fam? Give us a big wave or throw a 5 in the chats, quoting Mr. Brent Palmer. And what an honor to be here. Chris, anytime you, Chris, and anyone says, come on, I'm like, wow, what an honor. And I do want to give a big shout out. Like, seriously, what I love most about our community is we just have the most spectacular leadership that is so humble, that is so wise, that seriously, like, I just want to turn this around and just ask Chris a bunch of questions, because we are amongst a legend here. In fact, I did a cool interview I want to share with you guys as well. Maybe some of you guys saw it, but when I was in Ohio for Connect, who here was in Ohio, by the way? Put a 1 in the comments if you're there. What an amazing time. Anytime you can get around the Partner Co community, do so. It's healing, transformational. Literally miracles happened at that event. But I had an opportunity to interview you, Chris, for just a short bit. And we talked, and it's so powerful because talking about, I wish I heard you. I wish I met you when I first got started, to answer your question, because I thought I knew what it was, what it took to actually succeed. So 16 years in this amazing profession. I sucked for a long, long time. And I think one of the big keys to success in anything is be stubborn enough to not quit, but also humble enough to learn from your mistakes. I think both are important, and a lot of failing forward. So I've sucked for a long time. Eventually, you can only suck for so long, and then you get okay, So with that, I think we talked about that on the last time. I talked about how to go from sucking to legendary. So you might want to capture that one as well too. Fun message. But I'm going to drop this link real quick in the chat. Great interview with Chris, talking about why a CEO of a company that had almost 500 employees, got into partnership marketing. So yeah, 19 years old, thought I knew it all. Who here had times in your life when you realized it finally hit, you finally realized you really didn't know much about everything, you know? So I thought I had it made. I was doing what my family told me to do, what the society told me to do. I had straight A's. I had a 4.6 GPA average in high school. I almost had a perfect SAT score. I went to UC Berkeley. I'm pre-med. I got it, right? So I'm thinking I'm super smart. And really, here's the truth. It was because I was feeling in a void of a lack of self-value that I needed external things to confirm my value. And that's the real thing, I think, in life, which is many times there's an indirect correlation between success and ego. And my ego was high, my success was low. The reality was I was broke, I was lost, I was insecure. And I knew that on the inside. So, Chris, I was looking for something. I just didn't know exactly what. And then I got introduced to this crazy thing called network marketing, now partnership marketing. And I'm like, I can't believe I got brought into one of these things. So thing is going to be a part of my vocabulary now. I thought it was illegal. I thought it was immoral. I thought it was unethical. I thought it was under me. I thought it was like, why am I even in this? And what I didn't realize was so many times you might meet with people like this. Who here's ever had a negative prospect towards the industry before, right? Or the product. They think they know it all. I think on the business side, they're like, nah, that's not a real business. Well, the checks are very real. So I don't know what a real business is, right? How about the product? Maybe you're going to have negative people saying, oh, I just want to do it the natural way, you know, and then they're out there doing other things that are not natural, trying to get healthy. It's interesting. But one thing I realized is it was because I had a misperception and I was just not educated. So here's a note to take. I know it's super frustrating dealing with people that are hard-headed, but it's anytime you deal with someone like that, just understand, translate it to, they are uneducated. All right, put uneducated in the chat below. That's it. They're just uneducated. They may or may not be open at that time to be educated, but that's our job as communicators, is to educate. So Chris, I saw Brilliant Compensation. And many of you have met Tim Sales. If you haven't yet, highly recommend. In fact, that same CD that I saw, it sold 30 million copies apparently, is the best description still to this day of what network marketing is and what makes it different, what makes it legitimate. So I was open enough to see the logic. And then I realized, wow, I was so dumb to judge this. And I realized there's a difference of the business versus how people do the business and how it's perceived. And it's the same thing, which is like, there's no such thing as like, it's not that all used car salespeople are bad. Who here's had a good experience at used car place? Yeah, I love my used car salesman, right? It's that there's perceptions that we deal with and there's connotations that we deal with because of some people that do it wrong and then it sticks. So this business is genius. There's no other business, Chris, we were talking about this, where you have no employees, aka no headaches. You have very low risk. I mean, at maximum to get started in this business, if you get an ultimate, it's $2,500 of products you can use or sell. And for a very low overhead, who here loves our partner co-products, by the way, you take them anyway, regardless you get paid. So we get them for cheaper. That's your overhead. That's your rent. Chris, I want to ask you how much your rent was and your overhead was in your jeans factory, but I'm sure it was more than $200.
My utility bill was about 15,000 a month. So
Oh,
and that's not my rent. But yeah, utility, that wasn't my biggest expense, but that's a pretty good one.
oh my gosh. Yes. We could all use a lot. We could do a lot with 15 grand, you know? So we have a
Right.
genius business where you can also scale your time. I think that's the biggest thing because no matter how good you are, you can be the best doctor in the world. You can have a big business, but this is a business. If you do it right over the course of time, you can scale your efforts where you can have 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people do 1% of the work and boom, that starts to grow exponential. So I realized that early on, Chris. And then I think it was part stubbornness because I was so against this. Then I'm like, I'm going to make sure that if I do this, I'm going to do it right. Moral, ethical, legal. And I'm going to make sure that I succeed. Otherwise, I'm going to be biting my own words of before. And 16 years later, now we're here.
And everything's changed. You know, you said something I thought was really interesting because when I started, I was only going to do this for a short time. I was just in a bad place in life. Just thought, I'll do this till I find my real business. And after I got educated, that's what you used the word, I realized this was a real business. Now, you know, I told a friend something when James, and you talked about no employees and no overhead. When I lost my business, he said, "What do you want to do next?" And I said, "I don't know, but I don't want employees. I don't want a lot of overhead, and I don't have any money to risk. So it's got to be something." And he laughed and he said, "When you figure that out, let me know." Well, I just didn't know what I didn't know. And then I found this industry by accident or by prayer. I would be honest, it was by praying, looking for something, and still didn't know what it was. But elaborate on how you changed. What changed over the past 16 years? And you mentioned brilliant compensation, by the way. Those of us that have been around the industry a long time, you said Tim sold 30 million copies. I think I might have burned 1 million without paying any royalties on it. And I laughed about that after I met him. I'm like, I burned so many of these things and gave them away when I had a CD burner back in the day. Things have changed. You don't have to do that anymore. But anyway, go talk about what changed with you over 16 years. What really made the difference?
100%. I just dropped brilliant compensation, that one in the chat below for homework for anybody. One of the earliest philosophies that I learned was from Jim Rohn. And he said that for things to change, you got to change. And that was the hardest thing to change first, because prior to that, if I'm to be very honest, I thought for my life to change, my environment needed to change. The people around me needed to change. It's their fault. It's not my fault, right? I'm doing everything right. It's their fault. So I think the biggest thing to submit is to have the ability to design your life, to have the ability to succeed in life and have impact and income and everything. It's the willingness to take 100% ownership and accountability in every single aspect of your life and your business. Because here's what I've seen. I was thinking a lot about longevity because, Chris, we've been involved in business for a long time now. Nowadays, longevity is a hard thing. People switch jobs, especially these next generations, every 3 to 5 years, less than that, right? To have somebody stay in one profession, let alone a business, is really hard to find. People are jumping from business to business, even within our profession, from company to company, searching for the thing that seems a lot better. And the reality is there's that saying that the grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. Fortunately, I do believe we have the best when it comes to network marketing, partnership marketing here. But regardless, longevity is a big thing. And I think one of the biggest things that I've seen hurts leaders as they start to grow and then they plateau. We've all had plateaus. This last year, we've had many ups and downs. I mean, even today, like still, we're struggling with challenges every single day. And what I've realized, Chris, and I know you know this very well, is any single time I allow blame to come into my life and I blame other things that are outside of my control, then I'm giving authority away and it's a stronghold in my life. Because there's so many times, can I just be real with you guys today? Is that okay? It's cool being number one. It's a huge team effort. God is amazing. Like these are amazing things, right? But the reality is that there's so many amazing lessons and trials in between. I've had uplines steal downline from me before. I've had people malign me. I've literally cried on stage before because people were just judging. I've had many different tough situations. We've had previous owners that let us down. We've had companies go bankrupt. We've had times where we've lost everything. I've had times when I gave up on my dream. So within every single one of those seasons, I believe that true leadership shows up not when times are good, but when times are tough. And I want to challenge and encourage all of us here today, because I'm looking at a bunch of leaders of a future billion-dollar brand right here. Who here wants to have a big chunk of this billion-dollar run that PartnerCo is going to be a part of, right? You're going to be impacting many lives. You're going to be transforming and influencing many other people. But in order to accomplish that, we need to make sure that we have longevity and we're built to last, as in one of the 10 core values that PartnerCo has. And I want us to reflect today, are there any areas in our lives, to be very honest, where we're not accepting full responsibility and we're not taking full accountability? I'm looking on the screen. I love having videos on, by the way, because that's who we're talking to. I see Diane Odom. You guys know Diane, known her very well. Retired registered nurse, amazing. And she was struggling in her business, as all of us do, right? She was doing the do consistently, but not getting the results. Who here's ever been there before? I'm making my posts. I'm talking to people. I'm showing up. Obviously, I'm preaching to the choir, and yet results weren't there. And Diane Odoms enrolled 3 brand partners in the last 2 weeks now, which is huge for her, right? And we asked the question, what changed? You know what she said? I took ownership. I looked at my numbers and I said, I need to change this. That's it. The biggest thing is to be able to lead yourself. Going back to your question, Chris, what did I learn? I learned how to lead myself. I learned that any single time that I point at someone else, 3 are pointing back at me. There's another saying that blame is spelled be lame. So from the get-go, I realized the only thing that I can change is myself. So what are the things that I can control, even in situations where it seems like it's stacked against you? What's even the 1% I can take ownership on and get better? And I think through all that, Chris, that's how you can have a healthy heart. I have no like ill will towards anybody. I have no resentment. I'm constantly going to the Father and constantly asking, constantly restoring that. David said, created me a clean heart. I think that's so important. But it's because I don't shift blame on anything else. It's just, what can I do? How do I be obedient? How do I take those next steps forward?
Well, your life has definitely changed since we talked, and you were struggling with ups and downs, as we all call it, because this is a real business. So what do you think made the big difference besides taking ownership? What about
Yeah,
you?
absolutely. Number one, I mean, straight up, faith is my number one thing. Jesus is my Lord and Savior. I believe that God's help is way better than self-help. So that's number one. Number two, I believe having the willingness to have open, transparent conversations with people in your inner circle. My wife is here, favor 100%. If it weren't for my wife, because there was a time I remember, Chris, I was pulling up old photos and we had a partners council meeting. So to give you guys some history, so 2015, we had our biggest year at that time with the drops and the previous company. We made it into what's called partners council. Now we're feeling amazing, living the high life. And then the following year, we lost everything because of unforeseen circumstances. So I remember we went to a partners council meeting and we felt like absolute frauds. And Chris, you were there. And that's when we were debating, should we quit? What do we do? And all that. Literally cried in front of the CFO at that time. That night, back in the hotel room, I was, for the first time ever, my dream just died. And I went up to my wife and I said, I give up. And God totally spoke through her that day. And she was just like, just gave peace beyond understanding. She was like, it's going to be okay. We figured it out. But it's important because all of us are going to have really down times. You need to have people around you in your life that could be your confidants, whether it's your mentor, your upline, it could be your cross line, it could be your spouse, it could be your friend. There are people that we need to go to because we always need to be spoken into and have encouragement. So that was a big change. After that, what's the next thing that changed? I'm a big believer in God-sized goals. The biggest reason why I think most of us struggle or we get into a maintenance mode or it's hard to break through is not because we're not putting in the effort. Honestly, it's because the payoff is not big enough. This business is challenging. Life is challenging. We're not going to get out of it alive. So we're doing this anyway. And what happens so many times because of frustration, because of disappointment, who here has had crushed and dashed dreams before? You had an expectation, didn't happen. We build up a wall where we start to play it safe. Just watch, we have our baby Jaden right now. He's 10 months old. He's the cutest thing in the world. And we're traveling the world because of partnership marketing. He has more stamps on his passport than I had by 30 years old. Like, it's nuts, right? But it's amazing watching kids as they are growing up. They have no fear. He's not standing yet right now. He's trying to get up and he's crawling and he's jumping and he's doing all these things. I've never seen him in fear. I've never seen him hesitate. He just thinks and then he does. Sometimes he does way too much and you're like, oh my gosh, how'd you get over there? What happened to us? Where did that childlike faith go? And it's because of life. And it's because of the things that we've had. So I had to go back to the drawing board when I finally recommitted and I said, God, what do you want for me? If you're real, what's the biggest thing that you can have me dream? I think God will top your dreams, by the way. So instead of dreaming small and trying to hit, dream so big that you have no idea how that's going to happen. And early on, the dream of being number one in the world, it's not because we need the recognition or anything. We said it's like what Jim Rohn said, set a goal to be a millionaire, not for the million, but for what it will make of you to become. For us, that was a dream. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, babe, I see my wife here. When did we first talk about number one in the world? I'm pretty sure back then in 2017, 2019, we already had thought about that goal. We didn't put it on I put it on my phone. I didn't do it back then. Yeah, we talked about it back then. So when we were absolutely broke, lost almost everything, deciding to go back into this, I realized if we're going to set a goal and we're going to work hard, might as well make sure the payoff is amazing. So we set it back in 2019. We said, we're going to be number one in the world. I don't even know how to do that. Power ranking, like what you said, Chris, it's a relative growth measure. You can't really measure it. Like you cannot track it. It's not like going title, right? It's like, I don't know how to do it. You just hope that it happens, right? But it was a goal and it was a determined effort. And I realized that I was trying to, so many of us try to achieve something we've done in the past. Let me give you a good example. I won't ask you to participate. This happens to all of us. Who here has hit a promotion in your partner co-business and then your check fell? Don't participate. It's because it's all of us. And what happens is you start to have this weird anxiety. I'm speaking to someone right now. And you start to feel like a walking fraud. I'm an officer. I'm a senior officer. They say I'm so amazing, but I know really what I'm getting paid. My business slowed down. It's not where it was. And you start feeling really, really weird. And you know what starts to happen is that you start to try to set a goal to do what it is you did before. That's the worst goal to set because you've already done it before. The best thing to do is not to go back to where you were. The best thing to do is to set a bigger dream. If you're an officer and you're stuck at officer, if you're a senior officer and you're stuck at senior officer, why don't you go chair? Why don't you go optimize 4 lines? Why don't you do something so big that gets you excited? Because you remember the first time that you went for those promotions, it was thrilling, wasn't it? It was exciting, wasn't it? It was down to the wire, wasn't it? You had no idea how it was going to happen. Then you got it and then it's done. Because the purpose of goals is not to achieve them. I'm sure you realize this, right? We've all achieved stuff in our life. Who here has had a dream? And then when you got it, it wasn't that amazing. So, yeah, you know? Yeah, it's this achievement. It's the growth. It's the development towards that is the purpose of the goal. So set a bigger dream again. And that's the biggest thing, I think, Chris. We went back and we're like, what do we really want to dream? And let's go do it. And it's serious for me. Here's a challenge for you guys. Very simple, vision boards. I know many of us do vision boards. These days, the best vision board that I have is on my phone, you know? So I do a little screensaver. I've been seeing teammates do this now, but it's really easy. Just, if you don't know how to do the tech stuff, use ChatGPT or Google. But we set a vision board on this. And for us, for example, this was our vision board for the last couple of years. We saw Greg and Lanika Scott that hit #1 in the world. We screenshotted their flyer and then we just put our photo in it. And this has been on the cover of my phone for the last couple of years. Yeah, Sunny Yang did this. He just hit senior manager. He just put senior officer on his phone. But the vision needs to be so big that it's worth the payoff. So that's my question to you guys. Do you have a God-sized goal that is so captivating that even in the worst of days when you're thinking about quitting, because you will, you want to run in a corner and hide and cry, we've done that, that your dream is so big that you refuse to let go of it? If you have that right now, by the way, put a yes in the comments below. So that's a really, really big thing right there. Chris, what else changed? All right. Now you have a dream. Here's the order of importance, right? When the why is strong, the way will appear. It's not about the next tactic. So many times we are trying to go out of order. One of the most popular trainings are tactical trainings. Like, for example, and this is a trick question, okay? But I'm just letting you up front. Who here would love it if I taught you how to go viral on Instagram and TikTok so you can get a bunch of cold leads to come into your business? Like, would that be cool? Right? Like, who here would love it if I could teach you how to handle the most toughest of objections that you could prospect anyone and feel confident about getting them started? Right? That sounds amazing, right? Who here would love it if I could help you present to be the best presenter in the world where you're never afraid and you can always be impactful and transformational. Those are amazing, right? So these tactical things are helpful, but it's out of order if you don't have a goal. You see, in Think and Grow Rich, not all biblical, but it's a cool book. It talked about, they surveyed 500 of the most successful people of the time, and they put into order their formula of success. And what happens many times, and I think we have school to blame for this. This is how I thought, is we're taught that it's another tactic, it's another skill. You need more knowledge to be more successful. But if that were the case, I'd submit this to you. Now we have ChatGPT. Who here has used AI to go search for some answer to a question, right? If information was all it took to actually be successful, why aren't we all multi-millionaires now, right? Like if you think back, it's not about information. It's about intelligently organized information towards a desired outcome. That's true intelligence. And the only way to direct information and organize information towards a directed outcome is knowing what your goals are. So for sake of example, let me teach you how I learned how to go on TikTok. So I have my God-sized goal. I know that I want to be #1 in the world and our team's going to be #1 and all those things, right? I know the income that we need to have. Knowing that's the case, then the next thought is this. Well, in order to achieve that, I know I need to learn how to attract leads that I don't know because I love my warm market, but there's only so many. I'm going to continue to connect with them. I still to this day still convert people in my warm and hot market, but I need to master because of my goal. Now, if your goal isn't like that, you might not need to master TikTok and Instagram. Here's another challenge too. You have to be really good at being able to filter out what's important for you right now in your stage and what you want. Here's where I see people getting lost is all of us want the next best shiny object. Does anyone ever feel overwhelmed by the sheer amount of things they need to learn? Man, there's all these calls, which are amazing. There's all this information, right? Maybe you caught yourself just scrolling one day. If you ever feel that way, you're probably out of alignment with your vision. Because do you need to go viral on social media to be successful in your business? Probably, maybe not. Maybe your goal is different. Don't go for someone else's dream for you. Go for your dream. For example, for us, we want to make millions in this business. I want to be able to make $1 million a month eventually through business. Why not? That's for me. But if you honestly only need $1,000 a week and you want time freedom to be able to help with you and your family, you might not need to become a social media influencer and have a brand and all those things, right? So depending on what your goal is, that'll then determine what is priority for you to actually learn. So you have to filter that out. But because I knew that, Chris, and I'll bring it back to you, I knew what we needed. I knew I needed lead flow. So I'm like, I need to find a way to go on social media and start to attract. I went into a training one day. And because I knew what I was looking for, I heard one training and I learned one thing on social media that then led me to the following year to enrolling hundreds of new partners and hundreds of new customers through social media, all cold market. So, but it's because I knew what I needed based on the goal. All right, I'm talking too much. Chris, back to you.
No, I mean, I think this is great. And one of the things I want to reiterate is you talked about the dreams. When people stop dreaming, I'm of the opinion you're already dead. You're just waiting for the time to make it official. And so those are such big things that people miss out on. James, you talked about the social media. So many people have different goals, and obviously, but you got to be consistent and use a system of growth that we're using. And I know you use it too. Why don't you talk a little bit about it? Doesn't really have to be about the SOG as much as it's about a system. Our
Yes.
industry, I want the funny thing I didn't even mention. I'm gonna go back to something. You mentioned brilliant compensation. One of the very first things I heard. If you haven't listened to that, you need to memorize it. Secondly, you mentioned Jim Rohn, and I can say some things right now, and you'd be like, "Oh yeah, don't take that class." I mean, he has so many. He's one of the best in the industry. He's not with us anymore, Jim, but he is still, his legacy lives on because of his wisdom. And I believe Todd Rowland, I will tell you that we're here today because of Jim Rohn. So don't be shy for listening, but I do believe someday somebody will be saying, James really influenced me. James was the person I listened to. It's because that gets carried over to somebody else. And I want to reiterate one other thing. Guys, when James talked about making $1 million a month, that doesn't mean you have to set your goal there. You mentioned, and I think sometimes we get out of control about where somebody is and what they're trying to accomplish. And a lot of times it's hard to expand your mind out to that level. I would say James's mind in this industry in the beginning wasn't that expanded. I'd say he started for different reasons. So it's okay that you have a different goal. Brent Palmer and I talked about it all the time. This business is built on a lot of people wanting to have better. Doesn't mean that they don't want to move it to another level, but you want better. But you setting the goals to make it happen. That's where the difference is. A dream is one thing, but you got to have the goals to make, I mean, I could dream of a lot, but if I don't have any kind of a system or any type of way to get there, then it's nothing more than a dream. And dreams are great, but you got to have a system or goal. So I want you to talk about what changed. What made, I mean, we both talked about this a lot. I said when I lost my big business, we've heard the statement, God sometimes trims us back or prunes us. In my case, he decided to cut me off at the stump and start over. So he decided I needed a whole new beginning. But I think that's where you were.
Yeah.
You just had to decide what you were going to give up.
Yeah.
And, get back. And that's what you did. So talk about that.
Absolutely. So I think failure is many times the best opportunity to build the new dream, because sometimes the old needs to die and pass away for the new to come. Sometimes we're hanging on to remnants of the past, which we shouldn't. Who here's ever been, or you, not you, who here's ever seen somebody that was in a relationship for too long? And it's like, that should probably have been a different situation. So yeah, sometimes the pruning is the biggest blessing. It sucks, but it's important. But when we made the decision to come back in, I think it's based on your values, right? You have to determine what you want. If I'm to be very honest with you, talking about goals, my first goals in my business were very different. Straight up, my first goal in my business was I wanted to be confident so I could find a girlfriend. And then I got that goal, which was cool. My other goal after that, to be honest with you, was to fill in an empty bucket because I felt like I was so undervalued in my life that I wanted to feel important. And recognition was my big thing, which is kind of a dangerous goal to have. I think it's good to have healthy recognition. And I got that, but I would submit to you, it's not the wisest foundation to build something on, because this world is not about you, it's about others, right? Service to the many leads to greatness. But I had to learn that. And then this last build was the top value that we had in our lives, and I wonder if you would align with me on this, is freedom. Freedom. Like, that's something that we just so value, especially when you've had, let's just talk about financial freedom. Who here's ever been in a situation where money was good and then it was bad? Put a me in the comments if that's happened to you before, right? Yeah. Like, it was good and then it was bad. Like, we went from not worrying about our grocery bill to needing to go to Costco, getting $5 chickens and being able to just buy cabbage and eggs and just making that all the time and literally counting every single penny. And there's nothing wrong about living like that. But once the mind's expanded, it's hard to go back to the same shape. And when we realize that you could have better, and then you're limited, the lack of freedom when you've tasted some type of freedom was so motivating to us, because we're like, our time is so much more valuable. How are we going to grow up with our kid living like this? Like, how do we do the things that God's called us to do if we're struggling to have time, energy, and money? And we said, if we're going to build something, then we want to build something that can allow us freedom. Our build before, we had no freedom. We had money, but no freedom, because our business was so tied. Why? Here's two words. I got this from Dane and Mila Harper. They're amazing partners of ours, seven-figure earners. But they said this: in your business, well, let me ask this question first. Who here, honestly, would like to have freedom to be one of your big values as well, too, right? Give me a wave or put a me in the comments below. Like, freedom is big. All right. If you want freedom from a business standpoint, you have to make a decision early on how you build it. Here's two ways you can build your business: leader dependent, systems dependent. Leader dependent, systems dependent. What is leader dependent? Leader dependent is, if it were to be, it's up to me. Leader dependent is, if you're not there to save the day, if you're not there to do the presentation, if you're not there motivating the team, if you're not there acquiring the customer, then your team will not do well. That type of a build, I would submit, is built on the wrong type of foundation. It's built on ego, not on service, because you want to feel important and you want to feel needed and you want to feel special, which is not a bad need. But if that's the number one value, that goes down from experience, personal experience. What is system dependent? Systems is the complete antithesis to ego-driven business, because systems are you admitting that even without me, my business can operate. That the brand new person that I don't know that's halfway around the world, that's 100 generations deep, will have the same ability and access to succeed, that they know exactly what to do and it's something systematic, and that they can succeed as well too. That means that ego has to be out of the way, because you want to make yourself irrelevant. You know, my inspiration is Mr. Chris Doyle. I mean, this guy doesn't need to be on here, but he's doing this out of just absolute service and gratitude. I mean, this guy is like, he has made himself irrelevant, where now he's not Chris Doyle, he's Kristen's father, right? That's legacy right there. So freedom, though, is important. So that's why the system of growth was so powerful, because it gave the newest person the unique opportunity to just do something that they could actually make money with very quickly, almost copy paste. And that's important. So everything that we always do, if you obsess about the newest person winning, you're always going to be in the good place. We can always get fancier. It's easy to make things complex. And I think you should do other things too. There's nothing wrong about doing other things and bettering yourself and getting more skilled in everything. But especially in this business, it's always about how can I become better systems and as a leader to help the newest person that doesn't know me to be able to win. So ask yourself that question. If you were to take a vacation right now, would you feel confident that your newest person could succeed in this even without you? If yes, good. If no, we need to do some work on that or shift our values. We already have a system here, right? The system works, but we might have to shift our value because we're fighting the system. I fought it, Chris. 2 posts a day, these photos. Really? Kim Gray's the first photo. I'm a 36-year-old Asian male. I love Kim. Kim, like, these aren't relevant to me, but I'm like, no, it's the system. So if I care about systems and freedom, then I need to make sure that I follow that. Here's a challenge for everybody. A goal that I would set, especially if you're restarting or you're relaunching, set a 90-day goal to obsess about mastering the systems that have been given to you. What is mastery? You can do it so well, you can teach someone else, and you're getting the results that are promised by that system. If you can do that in the next 90 days and build another story of success on that, then with the intention of duplicating that and teaching that to someone else, you're going to see how the next steps are going to start to appear.
I hope you guys are taking notes, because sometimes I think as a leader, we begin to think that we know the system and we don't take the basic fundamentals to teach that new person. I love what you just said on that. I mean, you got to be. Brett Palmer did that in Columbus. You remember what he said? He showed how he started this new guy. It was a brand new guy. He brought him up on stage, and he did the. Brent is $1 million earner here, multi-million-dollar earner in this industry. What did he do though with that new person? Gave him a system that was basic and told him what they needed to do. And for 90 days, if you'll do the system, most people just won't. And I sometimes relate to. We got so many trainers on here today. Some people join our industry thinking, okay, I'm going to do this for 3 days, and if I don't have success, I'm done. So what if you were going to go to the gym? I mean, I see Chelsea's a trainer on here. Somebody said, okay, I want to get in shape and I'm going to work out 2 days in a row. No, that's not the way it works. But business doesn't work. This is the same way too. Consistency over time, good things begin to happen. The main thing to understand is that if you got a system, it's working. And by the way, James said he was reluctant. I'll be the first to tell you, I thought this is not going to work. I even told him it wasn't going to work. I'm like, this is crazy. But the world's changed. And those who adjust to change, I didn't even want an iPhone. Adjust to the change. I didn't know what TikTok was. Adjust to the change. And that's what we all do in business. And then partnership marketing is the right word now. I love that. So much different than what we did. Because if there's ever a word that really connects with our industry, that's what we are. That's why I love our name. What's in the name? I wasn't even that worried about it when we were on the Partners Council when this name was going to be picked out. I was a part of that. It's like, I had all my ideas of what it ought to be. When they came up with Partner Co, I'm like, that's exactly who we are. It's everything that we do. James, that's what makes you so special is working with your team. So let's talk about that a little bit. What is it? So you got a new person.
Mm,
They tell you what they want. They want better. And you talked about
mm,
that with me, and it is it. By the way, I want to mention something. You said if you take vacation, does your business change? For those that don't know, I went through a difficult 9 months because I was sick. I had to have some treatments. I was not able to do very much. And the crazy part was this is when the system of growth was really starting to explode. And I'm sick, and I'm literally, my paychecks were increasing and I wasn't even checking things. So was it because I'm so good? Actually, no. I mean, I get so many accolades of my success, but it's really not about me. It's about team members having a system that they don't rely on me. And if your business is all about you, yeah, you'll have a great business, and that may be what you want to be. But if it's about them and about their success, you will get what you want. Was it that Jim? That might not have been Jim Rohn. Zig Ziglar may have said that. Give people what they want, you'll get what you want. That's what our business is about. Help them get what they want. So talk about that just a minute, James. I mean, I know I jump around. You'll know I'm ADHD.
right.
I just like all over the place. And they give you all these different things. I'm these like, I know his mind's running. I'm thinking, how do I hit that? But talk about that a little bit about how the change in the industry and what we're seeing now.
There's a lot of shifts happening, which is fascinating. A lot of companies shutting down, major leaders. Once you get to be a student in this space, you just start to, it's like football. Like you start to understand things. I'm not that well versed in football. Chris can school me on that. But in the industry, it's interesting. There's multiple people I follow, major influences. Some of you may know a person named Stormy Wellington. She was a multi-million dollar, one of the top paid female network marketer in the world. Yesterday, she made an announcement that she left her company. And it's like, wow, you see companies shutting down, you see shifts happening. Why is that happening? Couple reasons, I think. Number one, COVID, post-COVID, businesses as a whole struggled. And those that didn't have solid foundation like PartnerCo does, they didn't last the test of time. So you're seeing the after effects of that. Number two, unfortunately, too, there are some companies that are seeing that they're ditching network marketing because it's too much stress for them. And honestly, in a financial term, this is why you have to find good owners. In network marketing, for Chris Doyle, Chris loves, who here wants to be in Chris's shoes, that you have recurring income that comes that grows, right? And Chris, it's obviously a byproduct of everything that you've done in the past, right? You can't just, that's why. So congratulations to that. And praise God, you're feeling better. However, in network marketing, from a corporate standpoint, typically the field is an enemy. Because if Chris is making more money not doing active business and not being productive, that is viewed as a liability in most company owners' eyes. So if the company owner's values are bottom line, make the most, be the most efficient, they will actually go to someone like Chris and be like, you're the biggest liability because you're not adding any more value. You're paying you millions of dollars. Why? Boom. And that's why they shift from network marketing to other things. Now, fortunately, we have owners with John and Darren who don't need the money, or financially independently wealthy, or have values because they're not doing this for the money play. They're doing this for impact and legacy. So it's so important that we have that. So the shifts that are happening in the world are, I would just say, values that are not strong are being shaken. But the companies that have true values and people that have true values, and you as a company, by the way, you are your own company. Who here wants to be built to last and attract the most amazing people in the world, right? There's shifts going on in the world where there's been a shaking and people are searching for opportunities. They are searching for places to be, but they're looking for places and people. PartnerCo's got their stuff. If you don't know that yet, go to PXP. If you're going to PXP, by the way, September 11th in Dallas, put PXP in the chat below. You got to go. That is the place to be if you just want to be a part of this billion-dollar run and bring people there. Of course, this will too. But we already know PartnerCo's got that down. The part that we can control is you as a company, you as a leader, you as your own set of values. I want you to think to yourself, take a mental gauge and an assessment of the last 30 days, 60 days, 90 days as a business. If you are Marlene Incorporated, Kim Incorporated, Donna Incorporated, Karen Incorporated. If you are a brand, if you are a business, and people were watching you day in and day out on how you operate your life and your business, how would they grade your values? How would they grade how you lead? How would they view how you built your business? Are you built on values that last, or are you built on shaky ground? Because that's what people, that's where your power is. Partner Code doesn't recruit anyone. They don't sell to anyone. We are the hands and the feet that share the message, that share the story, that we're the opportunity. You're the first representation of who Partner Co is. So this is what I'm doing now. And I think we have a great leader in Partner Co and the executives and all the team. They gave us 10 values, for example. Here's my secret. You guys want, here's my play. All right, how to be a part of this next billion-dollar brand. I take the 10 values that Partner Co has. Do you guys know what those are, by the way? I take the mission and I take the values and I make that a part of my own. And I think to myself, and let me just flash my screen real quick. Do you know the vision? All right, to power health and prosperity around the world. Question every day, are you living this vision out better? And are you sharing this vision in your own way? Right? Do you have to literally say the vision? I hope when people are around me, they see this person lives the vision. Lead yourself first. Okay. And then number two, we then have, how do we achieve that? With the values, right? This is huge. And I take this as a personal affirmation list of what to become. If I want to be a major partner in Partner Co, and that comes with a lot of accolades and a lot of cool things and all the things that you want, I promise you, if we just ride this wave of Partner Co, then all the things that you have on your vision board are able to come true. We're already living it now. Chris, many are living it now. So I'm looking around here. Let me ask this question, just a little survey. Which one do you think aligns with you the most, that you live out the most? If you were just put it in the chat, I'm curious. Which one are like, I'm doing that, or I'm doing that really, really well. Some of you might be your health is your number one investment. It's major. Some of you might be, you know what, I'm dreaming big and I'm acting now. Excellence in every act. How about being built to last? You know, how about true partnership? Like, where are we? Come on, Cancer Thriver. Let's go, right? So look at all of these different things and then think, all right, where can I get better at? When people around me, do they feel like work is an adventure, or do they feel stressed out all the time, right? When people around me, do they feel like I'm challenged to perform better? Or do I feel like I'm being okay with being mediocre in my performance? Leaders look at numbers. Chris Dole, being a business owner, needed to look at his numbers, or else his employees did not get paid, right? Payroll will not work. Am I dreaming big and acting now? Maybe we dream big, but we didn't. We needed to act like yesterday. Am I courageous to lead? You know, one of the biggest things that we need right now more than ever in shifting times is we need courageous leaders that see problems and challenges in their team, in their ecosystem, in their environment, and willing to lead through it, not blame about it, not complain about it, but to lead through, to problem solve, you know? So if we live by these values in our day-to-day, in our business, as partners with Partner Co, as partners to our team, as partners to everybody, there's no reason why we cannot have a big market share of this as we move forward. So talking about the changing environment, the environment's changing, Chris, but what's great is these values will make you more attractive than anything else, because these things absolutely work.
Those 10 values are so important because they create what I call the most important fact that I believe that our company has, is the culture. And someone was, I know someone that left my team not just recently, and somebody said, "Are you not upset they left?" And I said, "No, because they don't fit the culture." And it's okay. God's going to take people out of your life sometime. I want you to talk a little bit more. I was accused recently of getting a commission on PXP tickets, but I do not. I assure you, the company will lose money on tickets. We don't get paid. We don't get volume on PXP tickets. How important is an event? Obviously, this is the event of events. Would you just hit on PXP a little bit? I know we got just a couple more minutes, and you may have had other closing thoughts, but I want you to mention PXP before your closing thoughts. How important?
Every single top money earner I've ever known in network marketing go and grow big events. It is the top paying skill in this business. If I could, if you were to ask me the question this way, Chris, what's the most horrible thing that you can do to a teammate to hurt their chances of success? The most horrible thing that I can perceive myself doing is not stealing their customer, for their prospects. It's not any of that. It's not promoting and getting them to PXP. Because the number one reason why we all struggle in our business, in our life, is not a lack of skills, is not a lack of work ethic, is not a lack of commitment, right? We all have that. Obviously, you're here. The number one barrier is a lack of belief and conviction, because your paycheck will never outgrow your perception of what you believe is possible about yourself. And that conviction comes in multiple forms. Why is entrepreneurship important? Why is partnership marketing important? What makes PartnerCo different from the rest? What makes our systems different from the rest? And what makes you believe that you can do well? These areas, 5 areas, are so important, and I can always trace back to someone's lack of seeming success to one of those areas being in deficit, because you cannot lead people to somewhere that you're not sold yourself. You can try to, these calls are great for sure, right? We need constant immersion. You can go on YouTube. Even Connect events are fantastic. Any event's amazing. But there's something about PXP that is just that's why they call it the PartnerCo experience. Guys, we've been to, I mean, Chris, you've been to hundreds of conferences, right? They're all amazing. But I remember the first time I went to PXP, and I'm like, all right, what's this whole, we've been closing stage speakers and stuff at other events. So what's PXP going to be? When we went there, every single person, from being brand new to seasoned veterans in this business, said the very same thing. That was the best event we've ever been before. Why? You walk out not just informed, you walk out transformed. You literally reshape your entire paradigm and belief system. And you walk out with impenetrable belief and conviction of all those areas that I brought above. When you set yourself on fire, people run from miles away to watch you burn, and it just sets you on fire. So that's why you got to go. And especially one last thing. It's the one that you think that you can't afford to go, that you have to go. So we say, I can't afford it right now. Times are tough. Time's busy. I don't know if I can make the time. That's the one that I realized the biggest breakthrough comes, because you had to sacrifice to get there. And when you sacrifice and you had to give up some things, you might have to go only for a day. Someone asked me, can I, if I could only go for a day, should I still go? 100%. I've seen leaders go there for just one piece of it, because God knows exactly what you need to listen to. There's always one moment in the entire conference that changes your life. I don't know when it's going to happen for anyone, but it's always one moment. So, but if you don't go, you miss that. But when that one click happens, everything changes. So that's how we got to go to those.
Well, James, that's such good advice. I want to make the comment because PXP is phenomenal, because we have such a crazy staff. I mean, Mark Patterson is amazing, and this event will be off the charts great. But it's like you said, it's just that one. I can track my success back in this industry. I still will tell you the hotel, and here's the crazy part. I was so broke, I couldn't afford to stay at the event hotel because it was too nice a hotel, and it was more expensive. So I had to stay somewhere else and drive over. And it was a challenge financially. But you know what it did for me? It changed everything that day. And it wasn't, and I can't even tell you the person that it was, the one that one moment, exact moment. But all once I realized that this, by the way, James and I are so opposite. He had a 4.6 GPA and I had a 1.7 GPA. So it's not about his talent is obviously much greater smart, but this is not about my talent. It was about my belief. And so that all changed because I had a negative attitude about the industry, but I still need to make some money. And guess what? Go to that event, and I met people that were no smarter than me, no prettier than me. Nobody's ever accused me of looking like Brad Pitt. The bottom line is I realized this people was just for my kind of people who just want to do better for their families. If you're not going to PXP you're not committed yet. That's okay. Doesn't mean you need to quit the business. It means you're not where you need to be. But don't expect your business to grow until you get around the people and learn. And it's not just what you hear from the stage. It's the things you get from the people in the field, the things you sit around and talk about. James, thank you so much. Any parting words? I see Becky's on here listening. I see her in the chat. So she's over there with the baby hanging on, and she's talking to you about that. So is there last words you would tell anybody before we go? We're just a little bit over time, just barely.
I'm just so grateful for every single person. Like, I was asked, what does it feel like being #1 power ranker in the world? And what it feels like is absolute gratitude, because no joke, like, I know this might sound cliche, but no, I really mean it. Like, every single one of you, obviously our team, obviously the corporate partners, like, obviously, right? But I view our company as one big family. And every single one of you, whether you're aware of it or not, whether it's we're just engaged in social media, or you having your video on, or you making a little comment, or you getting promoted, every single one of us, we are truly better together. So I hope that the ranking is simply a representation that this company is off to amazing things. Our community is incredible. There's no competition here. I love the Susans. I love everyone else. Like, it's a fun thing that we got going on. I'm just grateful that we have good people everywhere. You're in the right place in the right time with the right people. But truly, I would just encourage you. What changed everything for me was my willingness to be open to being immersed in the community and having others speak into me, even when I didn't necessarily want to hear different things. This community is healing. It is beautiful. It is transformational. Let's be the best partners ever. Chris, thank you. And I honor you for just being there through our ups and downs and just always being such a good friend and an inspiration. And thank you, everybody. Let's take this to $1 billion and have amazing times.
James, so congratulations again on your #1 ranking. You're exactly what this company is about, and it's what you stand for is what you called it, the partnership marketing that our company and culture. And I was so excited when I saw that you had made that. I'm a daughter actually couldn't let me know about it. I hadn't even noticed yet, and she was so excited. And I think everybody, if you're proud of James and you appreciate him getting on here, being a part of it, put a heart in the chat, guys. James is always good about the chats. I always forget to mention the chat. Guys, put a heart in the chat, and I'm going to unmute everybody. Thank him for being here. You realize that he's in California, had a baby, didn't sleep much. He still shows up. Why? Because he cares, and that's what you can't put a price tag on with anybody. James, Zheng, I love you to death, my friend, my partner, and we're glad to have you on. We'll have you back soon. And this recording will be up. I saw Kristen post. You'll have this recording up soon. If you want the recording, be looking for it. We'll have it out. James, have a great day. Enjoy your baby. I'm sure you're going to be working as usual, but we do both at the same time because you love the journey.
Congratulations, James.
Thank you.
God bless you, James.
God bless you guys. Bye-bye, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Aww.
Bye.
I love your hair.
You can unmute yourselves, guys, and tell James thank you.
Needs to be brushed.
All good.
Great
Unmute
call.
yourself.
Thank you, James.
You're welcome.
Thanks, James.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you,
Awesome
James,
call.
for everything you
That's
do.
great.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, y'all.
Great call.
Thank
Great call.
I learn something every time I listen to you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
God bless you and Becky.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Congratulations, brother.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Great job,
Bye.
James. Thank you.
Loved it.